Hey everybody, I'm Matt,
I'm Keith.
I'm Elijah.
and this is NuggetCast. All right, we're back, NuggetCast episode 36, festive edition. You can tell it's festive because we're all wearing festive Santa hats.
And we should probably say this is probably our last episode of 2025. Right?
Probably, yeah. Because the people that make this happen will, they won't be hanging around the high school. I don't blame them. So yes, it's our Christmas edition. I guess it's our New Year's edition too. We'll see you in 2026. But we got to do this first. So, So what NuggetCast, I should probably tell you, is the stories behind the stories of Dahlonega Nugget stories. This week, your story has to do with
just that. One of my
Yeah.
stories from this week. I just want to do a little deeper dive into the animal facility story that was in the paper. It was just one of those where I felt like there was some stuff that I couldn't include for space limitations that I'd just like to add to clarify that.
Okay.
A little.
Sounds good. And you've got double guests coming on, double sports guests.
Yes, sir. Obviously, we're going to bring in some swim teams, and it may seem like a weird time of the year to kind of sit down with, wintertime, Christmas, and we're sitting here with a swim team.
Right.
But, obviously, they can actually compete during the winter, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit and
Interesting.
exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're wearing Santa hats right now, but there are people literally
In the pool.
swimming outdoors right now. Like they're tough. So I wanted to talk about it's a yearly thing that we do at the Nugget. It's kind of fun. It's pretty fun. The second graders, all the second graders of Lumpkin County, write their letters to Santa. Send them to us. We forward them to the North Pole after we get done with them. But we have to. So we have our letters to Santa section. It's a lot. It's a lot of letters to type up. That's what we do for a while. I don't know how many. I feel like it's 1,000 letters or something.
It is a lot.
It might be. But the I haven't. I've been slacking off. Y'all have done all the work this year. So I was gonna ask y'all, like, what are y'all seeing out there on the Santa front? What are the kids asking for?
Yeah, you do see Elijah and I have both been working on those a little lately in the office, and you do see a lot of recurring patterns and themes,
Some trends.
with the want
Yeah.
list. Definitely, probably the number one I'm seeing is the Labubu doll.
Yep.
Yeah. What?
It's Labubu, I think, and it's some guy out of Hong Kong designed it, and it's this little monster creature,
Like creepy little monster
furry,
babies.
but it has a real toothy grin, kind of a slightly evil-looking smile.
Yeah.
I think they come in blind bags, so you buy one and it has different colored fur and different accessories. I think, from what I understand.
For some reason, I've seen a lot of them at the gas station. Like I've been seeing those. I don't really understand.
That's when you know how a trend has gone mega viral, when they start selling
in the gas
item,
station.
the fatty item at the gas station.
Yeah.
And you see that. Remember
Right.
the spinners that were so popular?
Oh, the
with
fidget
kids?
spinners.
Fidget spinners.
True.
Eventually, those kind of items work their way to the convenience stores.
Yeah, that's how you know it's big.
And another thing that kind of jumps out to me is I feel like the plushies. I feel like just about every one I kind of look through and everything, it's some kind of plushie. I feel like there's multiple different kinds of plushies that I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
the
But
Squishmallows, the Squishies.
Oh, yeah.
There's different brands of plush dolls, but yeah, they're very popular with kids.
And then also there's the kid that's asking for the iPhone.
yes.
Which one?
Well,
17
it's
Pro?
kind of funny. It's never just iPhone. It's iPhone 17 Pro
17
Max.
Pro, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they know
And
what model they want.
it kind of jumps off the page to me because, when we're typing these up, a lot of the times it's kind of like deciphering, these letters. But as soon as you get to this iPhone Pro Max or 17 Pro Max, perfectly spelled, perfectly
Yeah.
written, you can make it
They
out
want
clear as
Santa to
day.
know what
Yeah,
they're asking
You
for.
got to be specific.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny because I've seen that. You'd be like, I want a football, and I also want a bike, and I want a MacBook Pro. Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So.
And I think that's one of the kind of funnier things that we kind of get to see is like every now and then you'll come across a kid where he's like, I want an iPhone 6 or 17 Pro Max, and I want an iPad, and I want a full wheeler, and all these expensive things, and
Yeah.
it's just really funny.
Yeah,
to
go
kinda-
big.
Go
Yeah.
big or go home. Yeah, some other popular high-ticket electronic items I see is the PS5. That's still
Okay.
a popular one.
Right.
Xbox comes up a good bit, and tablets in general.
Yeah.
Any Switch 2s? Like, isn't no one
Yeah.
asking for
I
that?
saw
I've seen
2 or
them, but-
3,
Yeah.
but not
Right.
as many
Not as
No.
prominent.
as I would have thought. That first Switch appeared on the list a lot more frequently, I
Yeah.
feel like, when it first came out.
Right. I've lost track of how many PSs there are out there, but like, I've gone all Switch lately. Seems like the Switch 2 isn't catching on. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that brings me to what I also wanted to delve into is our own Christmas list, or like let's talk about Christmas gift. Like what's the most exciting Christmas gift that you've ever gotten? Like as a kid or now, or does anything come to mind?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Something leapt to my mind immediately. And, as a child of the 80s, I grew up watching a lot of those popular cartoons, your Thundercats, your Transformers, that kind of thing. But Transformers was my favorite, and I loved, the robots and all that. And I'll never forget, one year it came down and Santa had brought Fortress Maximus. And I don't know if you remember, you probably wouldn't, but in the original 80s, it's the largest toy transformer that you could buy. It stood, no kidding, 4 or 5 feet
Wow.
tall. And it was a robot, but it turned into the base, the home base for the Transformers.
That's amazing.
So the scale of the thing was just massive. And to see that under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning is just something you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Wow.
So
The
that was
ultimate
neat.
Transformer.
That was neat.
Yeah.
I probably don't have anything as cool as going back to throwing up, Thundercats and all that stuff that he was saying.
Well, you're a different era.
Yeah,
So
you wouldn't.
It was maybe like
younger.
like Pokemon or something.
But,
Is that,
yeah, I would say mine was probably the PlayStation 2. I feel like that's when everything start kind of really taking off, especially in the video game. Kind of getting into 3-dimensional stuff and everything. So
I think to this day, the PlayStation 2 is the highest selling console.
Could
of
be
all
right.
time. I think
Yeah.
or
Unless
because
the
of how
Switch
many
is-
years it was in circulation. Then they started issuing a new PS3. It seems like every other year.
mhm.
But for a while, the PS2 ruled the roost for many years.
Right.
And I think it has the. If it's not the top selling, I think it might have the largest game
I think
library.
it is. I think it still is.
Yeah.
What were your number one games for that?
Ooh, now you're taking me really back. Oh, I really like Spyro. Spyro was
Oh, is that dragon?
the dragon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was really into that. I liked all the old skateboarding games and stuff like that.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk. Probably not Pro Skater. It was the Underground series. I kind of liked it because you kind of had the free roam aspect, and you're not racing against the clock and all that kind of stuff. But
So how old were you when you got that?
that's difficult.
It's funny because I was probably playing the same games, but I was married and in my 20s at this point.
Right.
So
I was-
it's
I was
close
younger,
to the
like,
same- yeah.
I-
You were like
it's hard to say
in
exactly,
elementary
like,
school.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I always what I go back to, I feel like the hours before you could go and see what Santa brought were like the most exciting moments of being a kid ever. But we had in our house we had this sliding wooden door, and there's the kitchen, and then there's the den, and then I'd wake up and the door would be closed, and I'd wake up at 5 a.m, and I'd have to wait till everybody got up, like my grandparents and everything. 2 hours. It's 2 hours of me sitting in the kitchen, looking under
That was the same way.
Yeah,
You just
looking
get
under the
excited,
door,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're like, did he come? And I remember the door slid open one year, and it was the Ewok village,
No way.
the entire Ewok village,
the playset, right?
the playset,
For the
yeah.
action figures. Wow.
Yeah, and also Santa had set up the action figures too, so they were kind of in a battle or something.
Oh, that's cool.
It was the most amazing thing. I ran over to it and played with it forever. I
No
could just
kidding.
if that was here right now, I'd probably just run over and play.
Yeah. Probably the same reaction today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And getting into the Santa stuff that you kind of brought up, it kind of brings back a memory for me. There was one I was like you were. I'd jump up really early in the morning, and my whole thing is I wouldn't just do it on holidays. A lot of times I would wake up, and I had a big thing of getting up and watching Power Rangers in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'd get up and run to the couch, and one year I remember waking up, running to the living room to see if the presents and stuff were in it, and nothing was there yet. So I kind of sat down, watched my Power Ranger things, and I remember my grandfather getting up and going into the kitchen. He called me into the kitchen, and from the time I went into the kitchen and then walked back into the living room, everything was already set up.
Whoa.
Like in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
probably,
magic.
Yeah.
As a kid, that was probably the coolest thing.
Christmas magic.
Awesome.
All right. Well, so we're gonna provide. We're gonna bring our guests in. We're gonna provide Coach Luke and Haley with optional festive headwear. We'll see what they choose. Maybe we should just go ahead and bring them in.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. All the way from somewhere else in the building, we've got Coach Luke Maloney and Haley Hayes here. Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So I think we got to start this thing off, getting into festive spirit. We're all kind of sitting here
Oh,
with
yes. Good point.
our Santa hats and stuff on.
I know it's kind of awkward. Like, we've got Santa hats. We don't want to be rude. We wanted to offer like festive headwear to you. It's optional, but
Highly suggested.
right.
What do you guys have? here?
So
Let's
all right,
see.
okay. We got first dibs, so we all went for Santa hats. But we have reindeer antlers and an elf hat.
I'm kind of deferring to Haley here. Haley, what do you?
I'll do the antlers.
Okay. I'm going to. Are you relieved by that, Luke? Like,
I was hoping to
I
see him in
mean-
antlers.
I think I could have made the antlers work.
Yeah, you
I
could have
think I
made-
could-
you could have pulled
Let's
that
see.
off.
Let's see if we can get this on here.
nice.
There he goes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
that
look for
actually, yeah, it
Well
works.
done. Looks good, Haley. Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
So, are we done here, or we're gonna ask them questions too?
Of
Yeah.
course,
Oh.
yeah. So obviously, I think a lot of people are when they think about swimming and just the kind of stuff that we've seen the team go through recently. We finally got the heater and everything in the pool, so you guys are finally back out there, back in action, putting in the work and everything. So just give us an update, on how that's been going and how everything's just kind of been working out with the team.
Yeah. So first off, we do have a swim team, which I think is a lot of people are not super aware of, but thanks to you guys, you kind of brought that out into the spotlight. So don't hear so much of we have a swim team very often, which is great. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting year. Obviously, we've had to kind of adjust on the fly here. I've kind of called it our guinea pig year with the heating, but no, we started the season at Pine Tree late August. Kind of got the kids in there, especially the middle school crew, and we weren't super sure how it was going to play out. We had a lot of support from the county and our school system, and got the heater installed kind of just in the nick of time, and we're still swimming there right now. So it's a little bit chilly, but the water's warm and the kids are super tough. So it's been cool. Yeah.
And kind of going into I noticed it is chilly outside of the pools, but when the kids are in the pool, it's kind of warm. It's almost like I would compare it to bathwater temperature. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's warm, feels good.
Because you sampled. Like you
Yeah,
did
yeah,
You didn't
actually.
fully jump in, right?
I didn't fully jump in. I kind of.
I had a Speedo for him. Ready to go, but-
I'm grateful it didn't come to that. But yeah, so I think one thing that was kind of talked about at one point in time was a possibility of maybe like a bubble or something. Could you give us some information into maybe what that looked like or could have looked like?
Yeah, no, I'm still waiting for the check that you promised me for the bubble. But
How much does the bubble go for? It's
kind of a moving target. I
Yeah.
think, it's hard to know exactly. I've heard some different estimates, but it seems like several hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
of
That's what I
dollars,
would
so
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more than an amount that you're just like, yeah, sure. No
right,
problem.
right.
But no, I think you probably have to ask the civil engineers and the county planners and stuff. The information I have basically is, it's something that we'd like to do. It's expensive, and I think there's going to be some altercations that are needed to make to the deck to house the bubble. So long term, it would be awesome. I think that even with the bubble, you'd need a heater anyway, which this was kind of the first step in the whole process. And then showing the amount of support we've had with 100+ rec swimmers, and then a bunch of middle school new swimmers come out. So I think like anything, sustained support from the community and engagement with the kids, I think it's going to help drive that conversation. But yeah, it's expensive. So
Has there been any maybe workarounds? Maybe not like a full bubble, maybe some kind of just covering or anything kind of suggested.
Yeah, we talked about like 85 little space heaters that we could put on the side of the pool, and no, I mean that's the cool thing about this year is we've had some opportunities to kind of spitball some ideas. So I mean off the dome, what we've kind of talked about would be maybe putting some actual space heaters around the deck area where the kids get in. I coach soccer as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not super warm out there, so we have some dugouts. We have some things like that kind of help. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, with any outside facility, you're kind of at the mercy of the weather. There's things you can do to help. You can get a tarp for the pool. You can get some kind of warm spaces on the deck, but it's year to year, week to week. It's Dahlonega, Georgia, so
Right. Do you think it's possible that this makes us like the toughest swim team though? Because are we the only ones like practicing outdoors right now? We're like the Nordic team or something.
What do you think, Haley? I'm not 100% sure on that one. Do you know any others?
No, I don't. I don't think I've heard of any others.
Yeah, it's very common in Florida where I'm
Yeah.
from, and that's like kind of the standard. People just practice outside year round. But
Yeah, you can swim year round there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I think yes. By that, I like that.
Okay, we're just gonna say
We're doing it. It's
We're calling it.
official. Dahlonega Nuggets stamped toughest
swim team,
at least in North Georgia. We'll take that honor.
Okay, yeah, okay, in the region. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, another big thing to point out is, you guys have had the opportunity to kind of practice out there and everything at this point. So, what's that kind of been like? I know, like, we think about the beginning of the season, the way everything started. We were unsure of how everything was going to go. We were going to go to UNG, and then UNG had the problem with their pool, and then everything was kind of up in the air. And then we finally end up getting the heater and everything in. So, of course, y'all got out there and put some work in. So, like, what's it just kind of like just seeing those kids be able to get out there and, just kind of see how they've already competed up to this point in the season?
Yeah, it's super encouraging. I mean, as a coach, obviously you want the kids to want to be there. I think if you're willing to run through, 40-degree weather to jump into a pool, I think that's a pretty good, indicator that they want to be there. So, yeah. And the other thing is, like, we have some small middle schoolers. Like, we have some really tiny ones, and I'm just kind of like, they come out on the deck. I'm like, oh, it's super warm today. You guys are going to be fine. I wish I could swim, but I'm like, you guys are crazy. So, no, it's super refreshing from a coaching standpoint to just know how much it means to them. And they know, like, they have to show that they're interested enough to be there. Because if we only had 2 or 3 kids, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, the way the program, like, just compare it to what, like 3 years ago or something. I guess getting Pine Tree was a big deal, but this time, like 3 years ago, we had no local pool, and I guess we did have the UNG.
Yeah, Haley, you remember the UNG days, right? You came to
Yes,
some
I
of those.
do.
Yeah, what was it like practicing in the UNG pool? Because it's pretty it's old. It was old school, right? It's like I don't know, built in the 20s or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty old school. There were no, like, blocks or anything to do starts with, so we couldn't, like, we would just do that at the meet, like, during warm-up. So a lot of our swimmers did not have much experience with that. Some pretty bad dives at the beginning.
And that's a big part, like, entering the pool, right? When you're practicing, like, swimming, that's a big part of your race. So
yeah, for, like, especially the shorter races, like the dive makes or breaks it, because lots of kids can get way ahead from their dive, and if you don't have a good one, you're already behind from the beginning.
yeah. Huh. So how did you work around that?
We kind of would do dives from the side and everything and, like, try, but it's very different than diving off the blocks.
Yeah, we had to be very creative. I think at one point there's a diving board there. At one point we kind of taught through the idea of just going off the diving board. But
Right.
Didn't get to that.
Didn't work. No.
But no, yeah, like that's the great benefit of Pine Tree. It's outside, yes, but we have a really nice facility there. So, I mean, it's awesome. We have that. Like, a lot of communities don't have this. We have it. So now we have to try to find a way to make it more accessible.
Right.
So
Yeah.
What about, and this is just totally spitballing here, but what
okay, I'm
about
open to it. Let's see it.
this is until perhaps a bubble, funds could be raised for that. What about setting up some kind of temporary movable structure like a tent or something, maybe 3-sided? And I know some places that have restaurants and bars that have an outdoor seating area, they'll get those large cylindrical outdoor heaters. I'm not sure what they're called, those electric heaters.
Yeah.
But if you had one of those staged in something that gave it a kind of a windbreak, and then it was still open, then your athletes could kind of huddle in that, at least have a warm area outside the pool that they could sit under or something. You know, of course, air's still escaping. It's not perfect, but
Yeah, no, we're all for that. I mean, there's definitely creative, I think, problem solving that needs to be done. Maybe you guys can put that out to the community. Like, send in your best idea to keep. We had an assistant coach put it brilliantly. He's like, it's trying to keep a coffee cup warm outside in winter, basically. It's a big, deep coffee cup, but I mean, that's the challenge, right? So there's definitely creative ways to do it. This year, it was definitely about getting the kids in, getting the heater in, getting our feet wet, and kind of experimenting and seeing, like, what are the areas that we could work at. The great thing, too, with Pine Tree is the deck opens right into the locker room, so you get like a 20-foot run from, you know, shower to pool. But yeah, I like that idea. We've talked about the space heaters. We've talked about a tent and things like that. I think all those ideas are definitely worthwhile, and then you just come back to the drawing board of how much does it cost, what's the timeline, and, you know, go from there. But
it was impressive that y'all, something was able to be put together for y'all to use this season, now, because the timeline was close on that, I know, from covering it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's a testament to the community, the school board, and everyone that helped make this a thing, because it would have been way easier just to say, nah, don't worry about it. The swimmers can go do something else. So
absolutely.
Right.
And, you know, I feel like another thing we got to kind of point out is, like, you know, we're seeing the things y'all are up against with the bubble and everything, but if you look down at the park and rec, I think we've kind of already touched on it a little bit, you're seeing a lot of growth, you know, just in the sport in general, all these kids coming out, getting involved and everything. So what can you just kind of say about, you know, just seeing that growth and just the want of the community to kind of be involved with swimming?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Haley can speak to this too. You know, Haley was kind of there from the beginning with me. I started coaching 4 years ago. That was her freshman year. And, you know, at that point, it was really just, if you had swimming experience, if you swam club, you're going to be pretty competitive. If you didn't, maybe your friend brought you, maybe you came to practice here or there, and maybe you'd learn breaststroke by the end of the year, whatever it is. We started this year with basically everyone in the pool knowing, you know, all the 4 strokes, knowing how to do dives, knowing how to do flip turns, and just kind of working on the finer points. But, like, I mean, Haley, would you say, like, the quality of swimmers that we have now, just even coming out of the middle school, is so much higher than it's been?
Yes, it's gotten a lot better, and they've been working really hard. And we've also had a lot of kids want to do club, like, after high school season is over. We've seen a lot of Lumpkin kids come to where I practice in Gainesville, 45 minutes away, and a lot of them are joining and really enjoying it.
Do you think that's just kind of a function of just the overall surge in athletic interest in the county from, you know, the success? You know, success kind of breeds more interest in participating, and so all the sports are kind of seeing some benefit from that, or is swimming kind of coming into vogue here with kids?
I think it's both. I mean, I've said, like, you know, Lumpkin is like a very athletic community, and I think even the people sitting here, we've got runners, we got bikers, we got swimmers. Like, that's what Lumpkin is, I think. The only thing we've been missing is the swimming element, right? We think about all the, you know, the 6 gap we do and all the racing and the cross country teams had all the success, the mountain bike team. If we had the opportunity, which we now do have, I really think that swimming is going to flourish. And I will say too, and Haley's pretty modest, but a lot of the younger kids look up to her and have seen the success that she's had. They think it's super cool that she's got a state cut time, that she can go and swim at Georgia Tech and a big competition and stay in a hotel. Like, that's things that kids look forward to. We've had the success with the basketball team. We're having it now with the football team, with wrestling for years. So when we have these people that are kind of trailblazing and saying, like, yeah, you can be from Lumpkin and still be good at swimming, you know,
creates excitement.
It creates excitement, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
do you think? So we were talking about, we interviewed some wrestling coaches, and we were kind of agreed that wrestling might be the scariest sport, like the most intense. But I feel like, is swimming the hardest sport? I feel like you can't fake it in swimming. You know, if
what do you think, Haley?
I don't know. I think they're pretty different, because wrestling, you've got a lot more risk of, like, getting injured pretty badly.
Someone's trying to pin you to the ground.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Swimming, that doesn't really happen as much, but I'd say it's pretty mentally hard, just being in a pool for a very long time, looking at a line, only your thoughts in your head, can't listen to music or anything. So
Yeah, can you not listen to? I thought don't you have ear pods now that can? Do you not do that? Like what?
no.
That's fancy. I would not
Yeah.
tolerate that. No.
No, you wouldn't let that. You wouldn't let that fly.
Look, if you can't race with them in, you're not going to train with them, right?
Oh,
Come
that's a
on
good
now.
point. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I think that's definitely an interesting debate as far as which sport's the hardest. I will say, like, if I force the kids to wear Speedos, like the old school, I don't think we'd have any. So maybe like that, the mental element of even the wardrobe. But no, I think Haley's
It's nice
exactly
that that's
right, though.
not an you have a non-speedo option now, because that wasn't when I was a kid. No,
Yeah,
I was
we
in
do,
second
we do.
grade, and I was like, I'm done. Like I made it that far, and I was like, but I can't. The speedo's too much. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's the cool thing. Like I said, I coach soccer, and you can kind of hide out there if you have great teammates around you. With swimming, it's super objective. Your time is your time.
Right. Yeah.
It's great.
So what can you take us through, like what your daily like practice is like what is the life of a swimmer?
So I swim with Linear Aquatics out of Gainesville. So every day from like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do practice 5 to 7:30 p.m. and then Friday it's 5 to 7. And then we do morning practice Saturday before swim meets. We're in the water for 2 hours, and that's what we consider like our warm up. But we do it's a real practice, and so we're already tired. And then we're there for like a 4 or 5 hour swim meet. It really depends. Sunday's the only real off day.
Yeah, and how many yards do you do in a typical practice?
Well, lately it's been a little less because we're in championship season for club right now. But typically 5,000 yards at least, I think.
They're swimming several miles.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. I would say like the learning curve for swimming is wild compared to the average person. Like most people can swim a couple laps. So to think about swimming miles, like it's extreme. So
Does that kind of activity affect your calorie needs? I mean, do you have to eat more when
Yes,
you're
definitely. You
putting
have to
that
eat a
much time in the
lot.
water?
So that's
Swimming
actually
makes
kinda
me
fun.
hungry.
Yeah, I know, right? Same here. Like I just go stand in the pool for 30 minutes, and then I just want to eat all day. So, like, how do you do a lot of bananas? Like, you got to prevent cramps too, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's
what's
the
your
secret
go-to
there?
swim snack? This is what the
It's like-
people want to know.
My go-to swim snack. I really like the applesauce pouches. I like those little smoothie pouches. And I have trouble getting in carbs because I eat gluten-free too. So that's hard because there's not a lot of like bars that you can eat that aren't other than granola bars. And I don't like granola. So
And I think it was cool. Like she kind of pointed out, the 5,000 yards and everything. My brother, he's a football player. He's a wrestler. He actually tried to go out to be a lifeguard at the Parks and Rec thing over
Yeah, do
there.
300.
Yeah, he started
8
to.
laps.
Once you realize
12.
like he had to pass that to be able to go on to. We went out there and actually tried it in the pool. He made 2 laps and he's like, "No, this ain't gonna work." And this is a
Wow.
football player, lifting
Yeah.
heavy, but
Mhm.
it just goes to show like how hard it really is to get out there and put in the laps like they do.
Yeah, just as long as he didn't have to rescue anybody like too far away, he could have done it. But
He's like, sorry, you're too far from me.
Right.
Yeah, but just kind of asking, getting to Haley over here. I feel like you're somebody that's kind of been through the program, kind of seen everything, but you've kind of been here long enough to kind of see how everything's kind of grown. The implementation of the Park and Rec Center kind of coming in. Somebody that was here kind of before all that kind of kicked off. What does it kind of mean for you just to kind of see the growth in general?
I really love seeing the growth because I started swimming with Park and Rec when I was like 9. And there were some good older swimmers when I was there too, like Mateo and Ben, very good swimmers. And then it kind of like went to a standstill for a bit where no one was interested in swimming. So now seeing all the kids like it, it makes me very happy because like I fell in love with it and now they're falling in love with it too.
That's awesome. And he was kind of talking about how these younger kids maybe look up to you a little bit and everything.
They absolutely do. Yes, Haley.
So like what's that like? Do you ever get to go kind of be around them, kind of work with them a little bit, or what's the interaction like?
I mainly see them at meets and everything and kind of just like get to tell them good luck and everything before their races, good luck before their relay, because swimming is also kind of, you have to be very focused. Like you can't spend too much time talking around or else you're going to miss your race, but just like those little short interactions and everything.
And she has encouraged, like, there's a little cohort of 8th grade girls, and they've kind of looked up to her, and now they've all started, like, I think we've got 3 of them now over at Lanier, kind of to start, at least 2 of them, and I think a third one's on the way. But we've got a few of them that are kind of making that transition to, and just for context, like, club is year-round swimming. So it's, and in different places, some club programs are so serious that they'll swim in the morning and then have their high school practice in the afternoon. Like, it's a full year-round commitment. It's hard to do much else, so it's a big jump to make, but it's it's super exciting. So,
and I think another thing we got to kind of point out with you, I kind of alluded when we talked a little bit earlier, but you've made a verbal commitment recently. I don't know if you're able to share anything about that.
Yeah, I can share about that. Because I signed the papers and everything, because you don't really do an official, like, signing ceremony. It's just a fake signing. But
what? Don't tell people that.
Sorry.
But Santa's real, no way.
That's where my articles come from. She's giving all the insider information over here.
Yeah. But I'm going to be attending Southern Connecticut State University for swim.
Awesome.
In New Haven. So
Nice.
Congratulations.
excited.
Now, Radford, he had kind of alluded to you maybe having some different choices, when we were kind of going. So what other places were you kind of talking to? What were you kind of looking at?
Well, I applied to UGA. Wouldn't have been able to swim there. I could have club swam, but not NCAA swimming. And I got into UGA, and because apparently my brother told him about that, but I didn't know my brother talks about me. And then I also had some other options. I was mainly looking up north for swimming. I did talk to Barry College for a bit, but I just kind of knew that I wanted to go up north. I've got family up there, and I really like New Haven, of course, is beautiful, and I love it. So really excited about that.
That's great.
You might not be able to answer this, but if you had to hold your breath, like, what's the longest you could hold your breath? Do you know?
I can't really hold my breath that long,
But you do.
I mean, compared to the normal person, right?
I've never timed it, so I don't
Okay.
know. But I do like aerobics. I do like 200 free, and you don't hold your breath during a 200 free. Like, because if you hold your breath, you're just going to
You're in
get
trouble.
tired towards the end of the
Okay.
race.
Do you think you
So,
could do it underwater 50?
no.
I
I
think
can
you
barely
could.
make
I
it
think you
through.
give more self-credit.
No, I don't think I can.
Definitely could do a 25 underwater.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess it's all about, like, you're not trying to hold your breath. That might be bad if you hold your breath too long, right? Because it's all about regulating your breathing and that kind of stuff. Okay. So
Definitely.
we won't time you right now.
Just hold your breath for the rest of the podcast. We'll see.
And of course, I feel like a lot of people don't realize it, but I think, just the cardio talent that you have to get out and do swimming is ridiculous. And I feel like, just the way it kind of lines up in the season and everything, we don't have cross country going right now. We don't have, track or anything else going right now. So I feel like it's a really good sport, say, for, somebody that's trying to keep that cardio, fitness, just to kind of, maybe look into. So, like, what would you kind of say to those people that maybe run cross country or track to say, maybe swimming could help with their game?
I mean, I'd say it definitely could help, because I know that we've had cross-country swimmers swim with the high school before. I'm pretty sure Wyatt did for a season or two.
Yeah, Wyatt came out. Cheryl came out. Ben Cheryl came out for a little bit. And again, it was more of like a side kind of, do something fun, but keep the cardio up. I've had a good amount of soccer players come out as kind of like a preseason warm-up. But yes, it's a very, very good way to stay in shape for sure. And super safe. Like,
Yeah.
compared to a lot of sports, there's not the kind of the tear down on the muscles. There's not these high compact injuries. So,
And this probably is a silly question, but can you explain kind of why the competitive swimming takes place so late in the year rather than, is it more so it doesn't run into all the other sports that are at
it's a silly
spring and
question
summer?
because it's a silly thing in general. I don't understand why Georgia does this.
Swimming in the winter.
So in Florida, they swim in the fall, which solves almost all the infrastructure problems because, the swim season's over beginning of October or whatever. So there's no real problems. If we did that in Georgia, we wouldn't have any problems either. So to be honest with you, I don't exactly know. Haley, do you know why that may be? If it's some kind of conflict with club, but club's year round anyway. So I don't.
Yeah, I have no clue, because club and high school intersect a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they are the same season pretty
Right.
much. So
So it
Talk to
curious.
somebody up top there and,
know.
let me know. Get back
Okay,
to me on that
I'll
one.
have
See
to
if we
work
can
on that
change
at the state.
schedule. Yeah.
that's the
State
answer to
level.
all our problems, isn't it? Like, is it easier to build a bubble or to like just change the season?
You might be onto something there.
Yeah.
I don't know who it wouldn't help. Like I don't know
Right.
who it wouldn't help.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Except maybe the
That's interesting.
bubble contractors.
you
Is that
know
what it is?
is?
Like
We've
big bubble,
cracked,
like
we've
behind.
cracked onto something here.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would have something to do with maybe like we kind of talked about cross country and track already. Maybe it's because one of their seasons is already gone, but like at the same time, it's
There's
common
cross country
sense, like,
time, but
right.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there could be something there, but like, you know how it is. I mean, there's sports going on every season, so like, yeah, maybe the cross country kids could swim, but then the basketball kids can't or whatever. So, I don't know. I would love for it to be in the fall. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Good deal.
Yeah, I think that's
I
about
think
it.
we're done here. All right. So if anybody wants to like just buy a bubble, right? We're open.
Yeah, we're willing to take
With
that.
your
They
name
can put
on
their
it.
name on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh huh.
Or a slogan or whatever they want.
I'm not sure if our analytics. I'm not sure if like wealthy bubble donors are the people that are watching, but it'd be great if this.
If that's you out there,
Right.
Okay, send the check to me. I'll take care of it. Yeah.
to Coach Luke.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess there is one other thing that
Oh,
we can ask.
okay.
We kind of talked about Haley and had him sitting here and everything, but let's highlight some other players.
Oh, yeah, the
I
other
feel like a lot of
swimmers.
those players are going to watch this and want to kind of hear some names and everything, and so drop us some names. Who's some younger guys that are coming up, and who's some guys that are on the varsity that's kind of standing out now.
You're gonna make me do this. Wow. Okay.
Off the top.
Off the top, I think we have like I say, we have a great little cohort of 8th grade girls, and Ellie Moy, she's someone who's been with the program now and is kind of transitioned to that club swimming. I have a lot of great hopes for her and her whole little group. Abigail, Amelia, they're all really good kids. Eva, that little cohort is great. I'm very excited about them long term. We have another phenomenal high school swimmer, Easton Smith, who does also mountain biking and fishing and a bunch of other stuff. But he's kind of chasing another state time this year, so we're excited for him. And then on the middle school boys side, Elijah Duffy is kind of our standout right now. He's got a ton of potential, very polished swimmer, and I think if he sticks with it too, he's going to be pretty exciting. So, yeah.
All right.
Great.
That's
Thank
good.
you so much for coming in, guys.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. All right. So from swimming to pet
Animal Facility
Animal-
Limited.
animal.
yes.
What? Sorry. Really bad segue by me. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Okay, well, sometimes you're writing a story and you get it done and you just don't know if it got your point across quite like you wanted it to. And I had one of those this week. I don't think it was bad, but I just feel like I kind of ran out of room to express my thoughts. And that was the article about the animal facility variance request from a local resident in the county, Bailey Prague. And she's just trying to do a small animal grooming operation out of her parents' home that she lives at on Dawsonville Highway. And unfortunately, her parents' home is technically part of a subdivision. But it's a really small subdivision and not quite like, one you would picture in North Atlanta or something. And it doesn't have a homeowners association. It's kind of laid back. So she got letters from some of her neighbors that she attached to the variance request stating that they don't mind her having the operation there. She doesn't board any dogs overnight. And so basically what had happened is she had applied she was already doing the business at home, but then she applied for a business license through the county. And they told her technically that land use was prohibited on that parcel of land. So she asked what her next step would be to address that, and that would be to request a variance from planning, which she did. I attended that meeting a while back. It went before the Planning Commission. They heard her variance request and voted unanimously to deny the request.
And the way that works is like the commission says it,
their vote is final
It's
on
final.
the county side,
Right.
and it's a little confusing because on the city side, it's
City,
not
it's a
that
recommendation.
way. It's a recommendation, and then it goes before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a final vote,
Right.
which is also confusing because in the city, the Board of Zoning Appeals is the same body as the city council.
Right.
But I learned
is
that
so
in most
confusing.
places, that's not the case. The city council appoints a separate group of people to be the Board of Zoning Appeals committee. So it's just kind of strange. In Lumpkin, it is the city council, but when they meet, they don't call themselves the city council.
Right.
They call themselves the Board of
I
Zoning
know.
Appeals.
I've sat
It's-
in the meetings, and
It's very confusing.
it's like, now we're the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yeah.
Now we're the city
It's
council.
like a magic trick.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. But at county level, the decision's final. However, if you're denied, you can appeal that decision of planning to the Board of Commissioners directly. So she asked, and she was told that would be her next legal outlet. So she did that. And at this month's work session of the BOC, that appeal was on the agenda. But it's kind of weird. They're not actually, usually that would imply that a vote would be at the regular meeting this month, which is later, next week. But that won't be the case. I've been told by the planning director that Joy Edelberg, the county attorney, advised her that they needed to advertise this for a public hearing. So it will be a separate hearing for Ms. Prague in January,
Oh, okay.
where the board will render their decision. Now, from there, if she's rejected again, her only other course of action is to take it to court, but she can do that
Right.
as well. But with all that set up out of the way, basically, I just wanted to add a couple things. What happened is at the end of that work session, there's the opportunity for public comment. And citizen Steve Sylvester was there. He used
Yeah.
to be on the Lumpkin County Planning Commission,
Mhm.
but is no longer. But, you see him at most meetings, and he's taken an interest in a lot of variance requests. And his view is that a lot of them either should not even be brought to planning or should be dismissed, and some of them are getting approved. So he made a statement about this particular issue, and he prefaced it by saying that he's a dog lover, loves dog trainers, and appreciates the type of business this young lady's trying to operate. And I didn't include that in the article, so I wanted to mention that he's not opposed to the idea of it, but he is opposed to that variance being allowed for that land use. And his main argument is that the application is a personal hardship, which would not qualify her for the variance. Basically, to qualify for a variance, the hardship has to originate with the unique characteristics of the parcel of land you're on.
Right.
Usually topographical, but it could be something like, there's a lake on the property, and it would need to push, if you were going to build a house closer to the line, then maybe the setbacks would require something like that. But like I said, when she submitted this application, she included basically as her data to support the variance request those letters from neighbors that say, hey, we don't mind. But what planning had brought up in their rejection is that basically those neighbors might not mind, but that might not be the case with future neighbors. Right. The Planning Commission was also concerned that if they allowed this, that she would eventually begin doing overnight boarding of animals, even though she said she wouldn't, because that would be allowable under the animal facility limited designation if the variance were approved. So all that being said, I just want to add a couple more points. So Sylvester said that basically he argued that they should have never even brought the application to the Planning Commission in the first place, because one of the questions of the 3 questions on it was left incomplete. It was not filled out. And he said that should have been enough reason for the planning director and staff to reject it outright. So I went and spoke with the current planning director, Vanessa McGrath, and I just wanted I told her we're not looking to beat up on this young lady. She's just trying to, do what she wants to do with her life. But really, it's about the application process for variances, because we do see a lot of variance requests at both the county and the city level. And I was interested to see whether that one question being blank should have disqualified the
Right.
application. So real quick, her answer was basically that there's a checkbox that says other at the bottom of that first question. And she said the applicant should have checked that box, and she didn't. It was left blank completely. But she said basically she assumed that the applicant meant to check that box and that the letters from the neighbors was the data to support the application instead of that first question, which has to do about topography and land and
Okay.
the nature of the hardship being tied to that. And there obviously was none, so that part was left blank. But she said that it was kind of interesting. She said that she could have rejected the application, but she felt like the applicant would have appealed that rejection to planning. And she said ultimately it would have gone to planning anyway. So I felt like let's let them go ahead and hear it because there's enough data provided to render a decision.
Okay.
Because she knew that ultimately it was going to have to go before that body anyway. So that's how it got on with that one question missing. Now, the last thing that Steve brought up in his comment was the fact that the data that you can submit in support of your application, there's a list of suggested items at the end of the application that you can include. And a couple of those items, one of them was letters from doctors, and another was tax information and or financial statements. And Mr. Sylvester argued that both of those items should be removed from the list because they imply a personal hardship, or they would support a personal hardship, but not the type of hardship that's required to authorize a variance. He said at that in his comments that he had even spoken to the director about that, and she was in agreement. So that was one thing I wanted to ask her about, and I did. And she said yes, she agreed that those two things probably need to be removed from the application, and just said basically that she hadn't had time to do so yet. She is still relatively new. She's the planning director that took over this year. She's had a few months on the job.
Were you you've been to many a meeting, were you surprised by the usually the planning commission makes their decision and that pretty much is final, but it looks like there's some traction there that that the decision could be overturned because Chairman Chris Dockery seemed to be in favor of it, and at the same time you had Commissioner Dr. Bobby Mayfield, double title there. He's on the other side of it, right? And so you saw the debate going back and forth.
Yeah, there was some back and forth at that work session of the BOC just about the agenda item, about the appeal, and definitely Commissioner Mayfield seemed opposed to it. He seemed to support the findings of the Planning Commission. He said they do a good job and that, their decision should only be overruled under extreme circumstances. But Chairman Dockery kind of had a more private property approach, and that kind of is his overall mindset. And he just didn't seem to think that what was being requested was that over the top, especially with the neighbors saying that they don't mind what's going on there. But the thing is, the chairman doesn't necessarily get to vote on it unless it's a tie, and then he could break the tie. But otherwise, his vote wouldn't really affect the decision.
He's got a big voice in the room, but
he's got a big
when it
voice
comes
in the
down
room.
to it, the voting goes down to the.
So the only other
commissioners.
commissioner that spoke on that agenda item was Commissioner Jeff Moran, and he was kind of in the middle. He said he didn't think that what she was currently proposing was that crazy, but he was concerned about kind of the precedent it could set and our ability to expand the operation beyond the initial, So basically, Chairman Dockery suggested that a conditional approval could possibly solve some of these problems by limiting the scope of the operation on the property.
Right.
But Commissioner Mayfield pointed out that maybe that's not the best approach because you've got to proactively imagine all the potential problems and pitfalls and add a condition. And a lot of planning, there's a lot of conditions that are added to these developments and stuff, and it's a useful tool. But if you are trying to use
like-
conditions to allow a variance. It gets sticky.
Like kind of
It gets-
predicting the future of like,
Yeah.
well, it
what
could,
if you don't take something into account?
Yeah.
You don't add the proper condition, and then it runs
Right.
wild. It's very hard after the fact to
Mhm.
try to correct
Gotcha.
that. I feel like.
It's an interesting debate that I've seen city council members and commissioners say basically, well, the people that I nominated for these boards, this is why I nominated them. They said it, so I don't want to go against them.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, you have the folks that would say, yeah, but we didn't vote for a board member. We voted for you. So we want the ultimate decision to be the commissioner or the city council member. And there's always that kind of debate.
Yeah.
I think they feel bad when they overrule the people that they've
that they've selected to make
selected.
those decisions.
But it does
initially.
happen.
It does happen. And one last thing, we're running long. One last thing I want to say that was not mentioned in the article that Ms. McGrath said during our interview was she seemed to suggest that there could be some room to change land use code regarding subdivisions. She said there are some issues with flat out saying you can't have this in a subdivision within the county because we have a lot of 5-acre subdivisions. And what she was talking about is the size of the lots. She said in our county there are subdivisions. They're called subdivisions, but some of them have larger lots, like 5-acre lots. Whereas she said in the city it's quarter acre lots, and so when you picture a subdivision in north of Atlanta, you got a row of houses squished together.
So it just means the land has been subdivided, basically, like to make different houses on it, right? That's basically what subdivision is.
She said it's part of the problem trying to take an ordinance that was designed for a city and put it over a county. So she said that we have larger lots. Most of our lots are an acre. That's so I think she's saying that there could be some room to modify the policy in the future, maybe to say some of these limits, land use limits that apply to subdivisions should specify a lot size, perhaps, for the restriction to take effect.
Right.
Because Chairman Dockery was arguing that if a really strict interpretation means a lot of home business would not be allowed, under a strict interpretation of that.
I got you.
Even basic, really basic things. I think she made a comment. She said she had an example of her application that came in today for a gentleman doing a home occupation dehydrating fruit out of his house. But his lot is 0.87 acres. And because it's not an acre, he can't get a business license without asking his neighbors or going out and getting a variance. And nothing outside of his house looks like a business. So
Right.
that's something that wasn't included in the article that I wanted to add that's kind of thought was interesting.
Okay. All right. Good deal. So I think that does it for our last Nugget Cast of the year.
Yeah, we packed a lot in.
Right, we
to one
did.
episode.
Awesome stuff.
So if you like this Nugget Cast, just like it.
Thumbs up.
And it'd be great if you subscribe. It'd be even better if you subscribe to our paper. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. And I hope you get what you asked for Santa. What was the thing that people want again? The creepy dolls.
The Labubu.
Yes, hope you get your Labubus if you ask for it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching.
Bye.
Bye.